So we're going to pull back the curtain today on one of the most game-changing new credit cards that's been released, the US Bank Smartly Visa credit card, also known as the credit card that gets you up to 4% cash back on every single thing you buy. This card is making waves with its unique cashback potential, a huge marketing push by US Bank, and also some rumblings about what this card really does and if it's actually worth it. Today, I'll cover everything you need to know, from the card itself and some of the policies that may trip you up in your efforts to earn 4% cash back. I'll share the correct steps and best strategies to actually go out and make the most money you can with this card, share how it compares to the other wave of competitors entering the ultra high cashback space, and then tell you the pros and cons that you're going to have to enter into if you want to form the relationship with US Bank that is required to make the best use of the Smartly Visa. Let's build from the ground floor up. The US Bank Smartly Visa is pretty new on the market. It's a premium all-metal cashback credit card that offers a tiered system allowing you to earn anywhere between 2 and 4% cash back. More on that later about how you climb and activate the tiers. It's a card with no annual fee, but also no welcome bonus, which is certainly something to consider because a large chunk of earnings on any credit card, at least in the first few years, does come from a welcome bonus. However, there is a way to activate what's essentially a backdoor welcome bonus, which I'll tell you about in part 2. The cashback structure is what makes this card different from almost everything else out there. When you get the US Smartly Visa, at a minimum, you'll earn 2% cash back. This is pretty much industry standard and not anything special compared to a lot of other $0 annual fee cards out there that have existed for a very long time. However, certain cashback tiers above and beyond 2%, all the way up to 4% on everything you buy, are available to you if you decide to form a relationship with US Bank by opening a US Bank Smartly Savings account. Opening a Smartly Savings account is the necessary partner to your US Bank Smartly Visa that allows you to earn beyond just 2% cash back. Once your Smartly Savings account is opened, you've unlocked up to 3 elevated earning tiers. The first would be 2.5% cash back if you fund any of those accounts or a combination of the 3 between $5,000 and $49,999. You unlock a 3% cashback tier if you bump that funding up. And now the sum of those accounts has a qualifying balance between $50K and $99,999. And finally, you hit the vaunted 4% tier if you reach a qualifying balance across any of those 3 US Bank options of over $100,000. We'll talk more on that in just a second, but other than the cashback earnings, this card is very simple. Redemption options are cash back based. If you redeem your cash back through statement credit, reward card, or gift card options, you get a little bit less than that full value, roughly only a 75% redemption value. As for other benefits and perks, the card really runs out here. It is a Visa signature card, which does come with some standard Visa protections, but this card is a cashback card. It's not a travel card, it's not a perks or benefits card, so it makes sense that it doesn't come with too much else. So that maybe seems straightforward enough. Well, this is where it starts to get complicated, where the fine print comes into play and you start questioning some of the different aspects about whether this card is really worth it. We're going to start addressing some of those questions in the next section, which is about maximizing potential earnings if you decide to go into this card. Before we talk through that strategy, I want to mention that this type of card, a high tier cashback earning card, is perfect for people who are obsessed with maximizing their regular spend. For online purchasing, I think it's worth mentioning that Rakuten and shopping through their portal is an easy way to add on to what you're already getting. And for anybody who wants to just try it out for completely free, you can get a $30 bonus when you use my affiliate link down below in the description. So it makes sense if you're already obsessed with cashback and just another way to pile on. However, going through the correct steps when you open the Smartly Visa is going to be the best way to maximize all of the reward bonuses through US Bank that are possibly available to you today. The first step to approach the Smartly Visa is, of course, to apply for the card. Most people are seeing recommended approval points with credit scores over 670 for this card. After you've gotten approval, you need to now take the step to advance your relationship with US Bank because, again, this card alone will not earn you elevated cash back unless you open a US Bank Smartly savings account, which is what you need to do for step 2. Opening this account is the door that allows your Smartly Visa to unlock those higher, elevated tiers. Step 3 is about getting that backdoor sign-up bonus, and US Bank right now is offering a promotion through sometime in mid-April where they'll give you $450 if you open a US Smartly checking account. Since you have to create a relationship with US Bank to maximize this card, you might as well take advantage of $450 free through US Bank with a qualifying $8,000 deposit. I'm not affiliated in any way with US Bank. I just think this is a common sense step that anybody watching this video before mid-April would want to take to increase their earnings. With your new US Bank checking account and your secured backdoor sign-up bonus of $450, you're good to go to activate 2.5% cash back on your Smartly Visa. However, I suspect most of you are not hoping to only get 2.5%, but one day tier up to 3 and even 4% cash back. At this point, I think it's worth diving into the two other relationship options, the Smartly High Yield Savings Account and the US Bank investment options, to uncover if those could be worth it to get a greater return on the money you have to hold with US Bank. This is where we move to deciding which one of those two may be right for you. To deploy the large sums of money needed to push your qualifying balances into the tiers necessary to activate the highest earnings possible on the Smartly Visa. The US Bank Smartly Savings Account is kind of considered a high yield savings account because it can earn you 3.5% on your money sitting in there if you keep at least $25,000 in that account. It's not as good as some of the best options out there today, which usually hover around 4% at the time I'm recording this video, but it's certainly not bad. And it's way better than a Smartly checking account where you'll earn essentially nothing with your money. The last option, of course, is to consider an investment account. Now here's where things get a little bit messy. US Bank does offer various investment options. They offer various retirement accounts, CDs, bonds, and even standard taxable investment accounts like you'd see with Fidelity or Vanguard. However, all the reports from people who've experienced the US Bank investment arm are very cringeworthy to say the least. While US Bank is mostly known for checking and savings and traditional banking features, investing is a whole other area of expertise. And putting it nicely, the US Bank investment experience has been reported to be very rough, from specific red flags like just a really poor user interface to manage your money, difficult to sort through web pages, and a scaled down investment platform with not a ton of options. US Bank is off to a rough start. However, there's also really credible reports with a few other issues. First of all, account funding times. From the time it takes you to do a simple transfer of assets from another investment to US Bank is unusually long. Once you fund those assets, you're supposed to get 100 free trades. However, some users have reported that when they first make those initial trades, they're charged a $4.95 transaction fee because the backend connection that authorizes those 100 free trades hasn't kicked in or started yet. Other users have reported actually having to physically call into a bank representative to turn on dividend reinvestment. Really simple stuff here in all of the points I just mentioned that other platforms offer at the click of a button that happen instantly, while US Bank seems to be struggling getting a good investment platform up and running. And here in option 3, the investing option of funding this account, lies a really big problem that we have to spend at least a few minutes talking about. With increasingly large sums of money that allow you to activate the highest tiers of cash back from the Smartly Visa, most people want to earn some sort of a return. And maybe 3.5% in the savings account is enough for your strategy. But for a lot of people, they're going to want to put that money to work in a better, more effective way over the long run. And that's where they're left facing potential problems in navigating the US Bank investment experience, or at least being very limited with what they could functionally do with their money inside of that very investment experience. However, there is a reason that this card is so tempting, and I'll show you what 4% cashback does in terms of real-world spending compared to the lower tier options out there. The cold hard numbers show why people keep coming back to the Smartly Visa, and I'll just show you 3 simple ones today. There's the traditional 2% cashback card that you can get pretty much anywhere. We'll use the Citi Double Cash for this example. There's the 3% cashback card tiers that We'll use the Robinhood Gold as an example, as that one's still kind of being rolled out, but should be a real product here in 2025 that's widely accessible. And then of course, there's up to 4% with the Smartly Visa. A fun real-life comparison is taking data that the Bureau of Labor Statistics publishes, which shows that real credit card expenses for a typical American in a given year can be about $51,844. Broken down monthly, that's $4,320.33. And the US Bank website has a really handy tool that they use to show off what the different tiers of cashback earning will actually get you. Plugging those numbers in shows us the big jumps that you make when you access those highest tier cashback rewards. Using that spending with the 2% cashback card, like the Citi Double Cash, you experience $1,036.88 in cashback on typical spending. Using all that spend but jumping to a 3% card like the Robinhood Gold, that results in a significant jump of $1,555.32 back for the year. However, putting all of that spend on a 4% cashback card, the Smartly Visa, that results in cashback earnings of $2,073.76. In this example, for the average spending of a typical American consumer, just going up from 2 to 3%, that results in a difference of over $500 in cashback a year. That's real money. And making the jump again from 3 to 4%, well, that's another $500+ back in your pocket, all from just using cards of different powered cashback tiers. So what do I really think about all of this? It's obviously a complex situation, and I want to convey the message to you today that this card is more than meets the eye. So I want you to consider specifically what your goal is for the pile of money that you have to associate with US Bank in order to unlock these higher tiers, and ask yourself the question, are potential restrictions worth it? In a checking or savings account, there are few restrictions, and as long as you're willing to play ball with US Bank, you'll be able to activate those higher tiers. However, there are going to be a lot of people who do want to invest that money, and for them, they have to say, is taking a subpar investment experience worth it with potentially $100,000 for just about $500 or $1,000 worth of additional cashback from your credit card spend? I can't answer that question for you, but I want to set a reasonable runway for what you can expect as you're making that decision yourself. In my own eyes, right now, I'm more comfortable running a multi-card setup that I can confidently earn probably on average about 3% or 3x back through all of my spending. That's not as good as a Smartly Visa, and it's certainly not as simple in terms of card management. However, I'm just not comfortable committing that much money to an investment experience that I don't feel totally confident about. It's important to recognize though that my evaluation doesn't have to be the same as yours. I just want to start the discussion today that this card is more than just 4%, and it's a more difficult decision than simply a mathematical calculation and turning it into a numbers game. If you've taken the leap with US Bank, I would love to hear and discuss what your experience has been like down below in the comments. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more similar credit card content, and we'll see you in the next one.